Hello, everyone. Just doing a quick audio check, and I just want to welcome you to this month's webinar. Specifically, I'm joined today by Noah from CHG Meridian, and he's really kindly agreed to come on and talk a little bit about one-click forecasting and what that means. Before I hand over to Noah, I just want to introduce the concept and why we've come to partner with CHG and why we've asked Noah to come on today. This is particularly around a pain point we've seen in lots of British businesses where that it's really, really difficult to manage the amount of hardware in the different life cycles and different environments from different suppliers over a whole organization. And whilst that's possible when people manage their cash flows effectively, it's really, really difficult to understand the forecasting when you start looking at sequential leasing and then you have staff coming in and out and additional leases that are all added in. One of the things that CHG offer is something that we covered in the last webinar, which is the ability to add additional devices over the period of a quarter and then renew the lease once per quarter. So that is really, really helpful for our partners in the UK. But on top of that, the thing that really adds to this is the fact that the back end and the portal, the infrastructure and the technology that they've built to allow our organizations to forecast what their cash flow is going to look like, what their cash commitments are over the short and long term, really help them sort of stand apart from everybody else in the industry. So I've asked Noah, and Noah's kindly agreed to come on today and just talk a little bit about what that does for organizations and actually give us a little bit of a sneak peek as well into what that platform looks like and what it could do for British businesses. So thank you for coming on, Noah.
Yeah, thank you, Matt, for having me, and thanks for this lovely introduction. And you directly mentioned one of the points I also see when talking to a lot of companies. Yeah, there are a lot of different tools, databases, but it's not really connected right now for many companies. And this for sure makes forecasting, makes decision making really hard. And happy to tackle this topic today and to give a little insight how we can solve this at CHG with our asset management platform Tesma. Yeah, happy to talk about that one today.
Brilliant. Okay, well, if anybody who knows me will know that this was a real difficulty, but I'm going to be quiet. Okay, I'm going to hand over to you, Noah, so you can share. And then obviously that's for you to let me know if you need me, but I'll be quiet. And then obviously any questions that get asked, if you pop those in the Q&A, I'll ask those at the end to Noah, so they'll all get addressed. It will just do it at the end of the webinar.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt. Then I will share my screen. Just a quick check from my side also. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear. Looks great.
Perfect. Thank you. And then let's start with the topic we already talked about a little bit. What we both see, Matt, you also mentioned it, and I see it when I talk to a lot of customers, that what we can see here is really still the reality in most enterprises. Yeah, we see on the left-hand side there are many different tools there. There is maybe an ERP system where the assets are ordered. Maybe they're not even ordered there, but directly at different suppliers. There are maybe some Excel sheets where planning is done by controlling, forecasting. Maybe there are also IT tools already used, like an ITSM system. I know a lot of companies use ServiceNow, for example, or other ones like Matrix or whatever. And maybe there are even more other systems where relevant data is in there. Yeah, for sure there is a reason for every system, and it's good to have them. But the problem we see that's a result of that is the poor guy in the middle, yeah, sitting in front of his laptop, having a look on some of the data, but in his mind there is a lot of confusion for sure. And why is this? Because there is often a financial view that is separated, and on the other hand, there's an operational view. That one is unfortunately also separated, and it's not going together. This leads to asset data that is fragmented across different systems, what we already talked about, and financial and operational views that are disconnected. And when we now look in lifecycle process of the asset, this is a real problem because you need to bring this data together to give the right transparency for IT leadership, which is with this setup often limited, and also to have the right right data for controlling, to have an asset cost visibility. Yeah, which department is using which assets, how much does it cost, which users are using what. This is important to understand to make the right decisions based on that data. And yeah, the problem is that this data is often disconnected, which then leads to limited visibility, wrong decisions, and with all that, for sure, to higher risks, yeah, for every company when you don't bring it together and when you don't do the right decisions on the right data. Yeah, so this is still the reality in most enterprises when I talk to customers. And what I would like to talk today for sure about with you together is to see how this can be solved. Yeah, I already mentioned it. There is our 360 lifecycle management tool called Tesma we have at CHG, which exactly wants to solve and can solve this problem we just had a look on right now. Yeah. All the data in general, or a lot of the data that is available there, comes from our CHG systems. So no need for the customer to do anything. It's directly there when working with CHG. And this is the first important part when we look on the left side where the data comes in. Yeah, we have on the one hand the commercial data, which is like the price per month, the lease term, all the payment streams within the leasing period. But on the other side, we also have the technical data, like what asset class do we have here? What is the description, the detailed description? What is the detailed technical configuration of this asset? And also, and this is most important, yeah, for the customers, they can add their customer data there. They can put it in via the UI of the tool, but also they can integrate their systems like an ITSM and ServiceNow to bring in this data there. And then they can have additionally to the commercial data, to the technical data of the assets, although their customer individual data, like in cost center, like in location of the asset, or maybe also like in user, or whatever the customer want to fill in, to bring in to the data level of an asset. And with that, we have the good base and the right base to unify this data and to have a full overview and a full transparency on commercial and technical data and also the customer data. And with this base, it allows us to do also the right reporting. Yeah, we have the right data, but we combine it also with nice dashboards and reports. And this is exactly what I will show you today later on, because there we then talk about one-click forecasting. But to achieve that, you need the right data set. Without that one, you can't achieve a good reporting and one-click forecasting. And the other benefit, apart from transparency and reporting, is also that this supports the right cost allocation at companies. Yeah, when adding a cost center in the Tesma, for example, CHG can use this value, this cost center at invoicing level, and print the cost center of an asset at the invoice so that the accounting team of the customer can directly charge the right department, the right cost center for the usage of the asset. Yeah. And this is possible when interacting with CHG about Tesma and having the information there. Just to give you one other benefit next to forecasting that we have here when working with that tool. And as I already mentioned, you can use it via the UI, what I will show you today in just some seconds, how you can click there. But the other part is also that you can integrate your existing systems. And this is for me something that gets more and more important. Yeah, we saw it at the challenge part where we talked about really a lot of different systems having some relevant data, but not connected. We have a standard REST API that is fully documented. We have integration managers supporting the customer and integrating their systems. For example, you use ServiceNow as an ITSM, perfect. You can write this data to Tesma, like cost centers or locations. You want to do further analysis with other data, easy. You get the data to your Power BI to connect also other data sources and do even further analysis if necessary. So yeah, connection to existing systems is getting more and more important and also easy with that tool. But now let's have a look on how it really looks in the system to give you an idea of how you can use Tesma. That I will jump into my demo environment I prepared for today. And when we log into Tesma, always we have first of all this nice dashboard that already gives you answers to the most important questions. Yeah, this dashboard, every end user can configure how he needs it. Yeah, if I want to throw something out because it's not relevant, I can do. If I want to put something from the bottom to the top, I can do. It's automatically saved, and with my next login, I see it, but not all the other users of my company see it. So everyone can make its individual dashboard. And here I see, for example, relevant information like, okay, which new assets were there in the last 24 months, which came to the leasing, which assets are expiring in the next 12 months, how is my asset class distribution, how many smartphones, how many laptops do I have currently, how is the liability forecast for the next 12 months. Here, for example, we see it's the same amount until December. Then it drops a little bit. So probably some assets are ending. Yeah, we also see it here. There are assets ending in the next 12 months. And this is then what you can also directly see in your liability forecast. So already here, when you log in, you have first kind of one-click forecasting and the most relevant information connecting financial and operational view together to do a right forecasting. If you then want to jump deeper to the relevant data, like I want to see my expiring assets, easy. You just click here to the 140, and then you will go to the leased asset overview with a filter on the assets that end in the next 12 months. And we also see it here at the right top corner. It's this 140 assets we saw in the dashboard. And then I can have further detailed analysis. For example, I could look for which countries are there with ending assets, or also I could look for which assets classes are ending there. Okay, it's all smartphones. I can filter for different stuff, and I can really make a detailed analysis on this 140 assets. And for sure, I can also export this data with a one-time export, or also scheduled, like I get an daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly report of that data sent to the required mail addresses. Yeah, so this is where we connect all this data, this asset overview. And the dashboard is the first place where you can do a kind of a one-click forecasting. Now let's tackle our reporting tool, because there we really talk about one-click forecasting then. Because when we jump there, you already see, you not only see the future of the next 12 months or something, you really see all the payment streams for the next years for your leasing you have there. And also you can configure it that you can cluster it to different information. For example, here I clustered it for country and location of installation. You can then, for example, say, hey, I just want to see the United Kingdom. And here I want to see all the location of installations. And then you see in detail, we have Birmingham, we have London, we have Manchester. And now I would like to see the year 2026. And I would like to see in full detail the Q3 of 2026. So you see, I can really start at the really top view, high level view, and then go down to all the detailed information I need. Now we search for country and location of installation, for example, but you can get any information you want there that you have filled in on an asset level. Let's make another example, for example, to show also the asset class. Yeah, then we can easily put the asset class in there. And for every location of installation, we could then, like for example for London, have an even closer look on what asset classes are used at my location in London. And also there I can have a really detailed view on that stuff. Or I don't care about the asset class, I don't care about the country. For me, it's all about the cost centers. Also easy. Then let's just put the cost center in there. And then we will have the overview on the cost center level. And also here, I can then collapse all. Then I'm really once again on this high level view, or I could also expand all. So then I really go to all the details to every month for the next years to have really all detailed information for my cost centers. And this is how with the field chooser you can build basically every report really simple way that you need with the relevant data that you need. So you see there are a lot of informations there, and with just 2 clicks, you are there and you can really easy get the forecasting you're interested in.
That was brilliant, Noah. Like really, really brilliant. I think that the way that it can just jump up and down through all the detail, like so intuitively, it's better than any Power BI environment I've seen that sort of does that same information. So, yeah, like really brilliant. And I also saw that there's an export function as well. Is that right? So
Yeah.
you can export via CSV, I assume, and play
Yeah.
with the data.
At
Brilliant.
basically every place in the system, you have the chance to export the data to use it in other sources then, or also to integrate REST API to use it in different systems. So there are always these 3 possibilities. Yeah, work in the tool, export
Yeah.
it, integrate your API.
Great. And I've got a couple of questions. In fairness, we have covered some of this a little bit on the previous webinars, but just for anybody that's watching this but potentially hasn't seen that, what sort of asset types can you fund in this portal? So is it? I saw that there was iPhones and PCs. Is there anything else that would be covered?
Yeah, for sure. So mainly CHG focus on IT assets, and there it's basically everything. But
Hmm.
apart from IT, we are also active in industrial assets. So also there we have the
Right.
chance to lease industrial assets like forklifts and other stuff. And also we are there in the healthcare sector. So we
Yeah.
also lease assets that are there in the healthcare environment. Lots of possibilities. System works for all of that. Yeah. And you can bring in all the information you need there. We have several free text fields you can configure with your own name and with your own content. We can have reference values there, that there is a drop down for the locations you have in place. And yeah, as I said, with REST API, you can bring all the data easily in there.
Brilliant. And can you import that data, or would you manually enter it in the portal?
Both, you can also import it. So there's an import function, very easy. Yeah, just need the serial number and then you can import all the data.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And then my last question was, I understand that, for today we were focused on one-click forecasting, but how much of the portal and that sort of infrastructure and that environment have we actually seen today? Is that most of it, or is there a lot more to it?
Excellent question, Matt. Thanks for this one. Today, I would say was maximum of 20%. You saw there.
Yeah.
We looked at the dashboard, we looked at the asset summary and the reporting, right? But yeah, I called it in the beginning the 360 degrees lifecycle management tool, Tesma, and that's what
Yeah.
it really is. And this is where also then even more benefit comes from it, because you can really start using Tesma at the beginning of the asset lifecycle when you order the assets. Yeah. The
Yeah.
benefit there is that we can build a shopping cart for every customer with the regularly ordered assets from different suppliers. So it's supplier independent, and it's one platform to order from different suppliers. And also you have then the orders directly available in one view, and you have the ordered assets directly there in one view. You can work with the ordered asset, make status changes, fill your data in directly at the procurement step. And though you don't have to wait for data and you don't miss it out, you have it directly from the beginning. Afterwards, you can do the release of payment in a transparent way with the 4 eyes principle also. Then we saw the asset management part, but the same is there for the contracts for sure, and also for the invoices. So also for accounting teams that can go in there and search for the invoices that were sent. We have a central hub for all the documents that are there available with CHG or the customer side. Also possibility to upload individual documents. For example, Matt, I would allow you to use the device privately. You would need to sign something. Easy, you can upload it to Tesma to have it all in one place as a single source of truth. And when it comes to the end of lease, we have a dedicated returns module, yeah, where you can place a collection request that CHG picks up the assets. And afterwards, you see all your gradings for the assets. You see all the erasure certificates. So for sure, we also offer an certified data erasure, where you get the certificates also directly within Tesma. And at the same time, when giving back the old assets, you can start again at the very beginning, ordering your new assets within the procurement tool. And this is then a really 360-degree asset management that gives you a huge benefit.
Brilliant. Yeah, just on a personal note, I've never seen anything quite as detailed around asset management and lease management. So I think every time we peel away a little bit more of the skin, and every time we do one of these webinars, you learn that there's even more depth to it, and it's even more well thought out than we originally thought. So yeah, very impressive. And thank you so much for coming on today, Noah, and showing us a little bit about it.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you. Speak soon.
See you.